I used to edit my videos and color grade them by just slapping on a filter on them and then calling it a day. And for the most part, that did really well for me when I started. But when you realize that those filters aren't designed to really work with your footage and be able to give you the best results and the highest quality colors possible, that's when I realized that I needed to make a change. And so that's when I really went through this whole process of learning how to color grade, and I want to show you guys exactly how I color grade my gym footage. Now, it's actually really easy. I've really broken it down to really easy steps. And we're going to go over log footage as well as regular footage or standard footage, if you like to call it. So, before we even start and get into our video editing software, you need to understand uh, what you're filming in. Are you filming in log or are you filming in standard profile? So, what I mean by log is going to give you that very dull look. It's going to give you that high dynamic range to really stretch your video in the way that you like. Now, traditionally, there are three types of logs that are like standard. You have S log, you have C log, and you have Apple log. Now, S, C, and D or Apple all stand for the company. So we have S log, which is for Sony log, C log, which is for Canon log. I think there's also D log, which is for DJI, or DJI, which is the DJI drones. But anyways, if your camera allows you to film in log, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you film in log. And I have another video that I'm going to link into this where I literally go over all about log and how you should be filming on log profiles. Also, if you're on an iPhone, if you have an iPhone 15 or above, you have the ability to film in Apple log, which I also highly recommend that you film in. If this does not apply to you, you do not have any log profiles on your camera, or you have an iPhone 14. I have an iPhone 14 Pro, so I don't have Apple log. Film on the standard, and I'm going to show you exactly how to color grade. We're going to try to get these two different types of footage to look very similar to each other with the same amount of color. We'll see what we can do, but I'm going to show you the whole process. It's definitely updated from the last video that I showed you guys in the cinematic bootcamp. Every day I'm learning something new, but without further ado, let's get into Premiere Pro. So, right now we have two different types of footage. This is going to be our log footage. As you see, it's very dull, and we have our Lumetri scopes available for us. Now, I just want to also say this. This technique applies to every single software out there. It's just a matter of where the buttons are and like the style of like the layout. So this works on DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro, CapCut, you name it. These all work together. So it's the same concepts, just apply them to your respective software. I'm using Premiere Pro because that's what I've always used. But as you can see, we have our log footage. Now, if you look at the Lumetri scopes, this shows us a very compact footage, which means that it's all compact. There's not much saturation, there's not much contrast. So we need to fix that. Now, if we move right here, this is iPhone footage. This was filmed on an iPhone on the standard profile, not log. As you see, there's a lot more, the colors are a lot more stretched. We have more contrast, more saturation, and it doesn't look as dull. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna transform both of these clips into color graded footage. So before we even do that, let's start with log footage. Now, log footage is going to be a slightly complicated, it's complicated how it sounds, but it really is easy to just apply. So before we even get into color grading, you want to go ahead and you want to create an adjustment layer. So how you do that, you would right click onto your project. You want to click new item, adjustment layer. And we'll go ahead and we'll drag it on top of um, our footage here. And we want to make sure it's only going to be above our log footage. From here, this is where you want to import your conversion LUT. So whether that's C log to Rec 709, S log to Rec 709, D log to Rec 709, whatever it is, or Apple log to Rec 709. You want to go ahead and do that. So I film an S-Log2 because I have a 8-bit camera, so I have a S-Log2 to Rec 709 conversion LUT. Now, again, you want to make sure this is on the adjustment layer. Another thing that you can do is you can actually create another layer within your Lumetri color, like color grading space. Just add another Lumetri color effect. And you want to make sure on the second, so you want to make sure you have two here. We're going to rename the second one. We're going to rename this conversion. And as you can see, if we go to our effects controls here, we have two different color grading layers. So if you did not want to use an adjustment layer, you can literally just go down into your Lumetri color, go to your second layer, your conversion LUT, and then go to basic corrections and paste your conversion LUT. Then from there, yes, it's a backward process. So you want to have a second layer with your conversion LUT, and then you want to go back to your first layer, and that's where you're going to do all the basic adjustments, everything, and then, yeah. But I'm going to use the adjustment layer just because it's a lot easier for me. So we have the adjustment layer. Like I said again, basic corrections, you have your conversion LUT. From there, you want to click your foot, make sure you're selecting your footage. You want to go to your Lumetri color. You want to look at your Lumetri scopes as well. So before we even start, we want to make some basic corrections. Now this video looks a little bit too green, it looks a little bit too red. So we need to fix it. We're going to do white balance. So this looks a lot more white to me. Maybe add a little bit more green. That looks like a good white. Now it's still, as you see, as I turn on and off the adjustment layer, it stretches a little bit, which is good, but it's not as stretched as I would like. So we're going to import some contrast. Shadows are going to go way down because I like my footage quite dark. And let's see, maybe highlights go up slightly just so we have a good range. And can kind of play around with exposure as well. So this looks good to me. It's sort of a base footage. From here, what we're going to want to do is start the coloring process. So if you have this adjustment layer, perfect. So now you want to create another layer. So to put it simply, you want to be doing every single step before your conversion LUT. So the last step, the last layer should have your conversion LUT, and then you should just have multiple layers before that that will allow you to get the most variability. And that's what I used to fuck up before, is I used to just, the first thing I would do is convert my footage, but you would lose all that extra detail on why you would even be filming log in the first place. So we're going to rename this basic adjustments. And now we're going to add another Lumetri color layer, and we're going to name this color grade because we're going to color grade this a certain color. So now that we have that, we're going to go into the color grading process. So this is the same process that I did in the cinematic bootcamp, but it's a lot easier now. So I want you to go to your HSL secondary, and you're going to use the set color dropper. And if it will allow me, yep, there we go. We want to map out all the skin tones. So how do you make sure that all the skin tones are mapped out? You go ahead and select this on and off. And then we're just going to use the dropper plus tool and get the rest of this. It's not going to be perfect. Sometimes it doesn't allow you to do much. But this is as simple as it gets. Okay, this looks probably as good as it's gonna get. Let's go ahead and zoom back out. So we have all of this right here that is being added. We don't want that at all. So we're going to subtract. Can we subtract this? There we go. So as you see, the only thing that is selected is our skin tones. And you can also do a little bit of denoise. It'll get rid of, give you a little bit more to work with. Add a little bit of blur into there so that the edges are a little bit cleaner. And then from there, we'll deselect this off, and then you want to invert. Invert. This is the invert button. So now everything but your skin tones are mapped out. Okay, perfect. So after we've done that, this is the fun part. This is where we get to color grade. So I'm looking for a blue teal kind of color. So we're going to start to drag. Actually, let's go to the shadows, midtones, and highlights. And we want to start with the highlights. So ideally, you kind of want to keep your shadows where they are, and you just want to touch the midtones and highlights. So we'll move the highlights down. We want a nice teal blue. So we want the blue to be above the green on this. Now see, the further down that you push this, the more saturation there is. So this is very saturated, but I like it. Midtones, we're going to do the same thing. And it's looking a little bit like there's too much color. So back off a little bit. Now, before I would used to, touch all of these and just touch this is going to like make it darker, brighter, and whatnot. I used to touch those at in this space, but I've learned to not do that because you want to actually go. So after we have the color, as you see, our skin tones, look at these. These are perfect. Perfect skin tones. We never had to touch them. We never had to fix them. And that's why I love this HSL secondary and just mapping out the skin tones first because it color grades everything but that. Now, I want darker footage. I want it to look a little bit moodier, a little bit darker, more contrast. So what I'm going to do is I went back to the basic corrections in this color grade layer, and we're just going to decrease the exposure. And I think I'm going to add a little bit darker of shadows. So this, actually, I'll keep the shadows where they're at. This looks good to me. Yeah, I like this. This looks good to me. We have great contrast between the ceiling here as well as us. You can still see us. We still maintain some of those shadows back here. And the shadows have stayed black, which is what we want. Now, another thing to realize is there are some colors that are just glaring and just very bright on this. For example, this green is and this neon green, it's not my favorite. So, what I'm going to want to go to do is go to my RGB curves, my hue versus saturation curves, and just select this green, and we're going to decrease it slightly. Same thing from here, and we're just going to decrease it slightly so it's not as glaring to me. So this is a finished product to me. This is a finished color grade. Now, again, if you weren't using an adjustment layer, so this is what it looks like. This is what your color grade looks like before you even put the Rec 709 conversion line. So like I said, again, we have our two layers here, and then the last layer, this is going to be your conversion. And as you see, as soon as we convert our LUT, use our conversion LUT, bang. So in our FX controls, first layer, basic adjustments. Second layer is our color grade. Third is the conversion. But the steps that you start with are flipped. You want to have your conversion LUT at the end. You already want to have it as a different layer. And then backtrack. And then, so you want to start at the end and then start at the beginning, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys. I'm trying to explain it in the best way that I can, but yeah. So that is that. I'm going to keep the adjustment layer, and that's perfect footage. So look at this. This is very high quality LUT to me. I might honestly save this. This might be better than my other LUT, but anyways. So now we have our regular footage. So one of the things that you need to understand about regular footage is we do not have the high dynamic range to be able to pull our footage in whatever direction that we want. So we need to make do with what we have, and we're not going to be using a conversion LUT here. We're simply going to be having two layers. One is our basic adjustments, second is our color grade. So from here, let's look at this. This looks too red, so we're going to add some more blue. And it's a little bit bright for me as well. So going to decrease the shadows a little bit. Or no, decrease the exposure. Maybe keep the highlights up there and then shadows down. So this looks like a good basic correction. We fixed our, to me personally, I like a little bit more of a blue tint on my gym footage. It just looks better in my opinion. That is what I would call my white balance. So this is white balance footage with the basic adjustments. So we're going to rename this basic adjustments. All right, so now we want to add another Lumetri layer, and we're going to rename this color grade. Now again, it's the same process that I use for color grading as the other one, except it's a little bit harder to map out your skin tone. So first thing you want to do, go to your HSL secondary, set color, and we're gonna map out skin tones. So yeah, as you see, it's gonna be slightly different, and that's okay. You can make do with it. So we've done that. Let's try to denoise it, blur a little bit. So yeah, as you see, this is not perfect. This is not the greatest, but you gotta make do with what we have. So what if we just kept all of this? It's honestly not that bad, I can't even lie. No. Yeah, we gotta keep that. Alright, so unfortunately this is as best as it's gonna get. Call me crazy. You know, maybe we can try to manually fix these. So sometimes that mapping tool does not do the best. So we have to kind of make do with what we have manually. I mean, unfortunately, that's pretty much as best as it's gonna get. We have banding right here, which I'm gonna be honest, there isn't much that you can do. So really, so one thing that you'll have to realize as you start to color grade is you can either sacrifice skin tones or you can sacrifice part of the color of the footage. So we will color grade this and see how this looks. If it doesn't look good, there's another way that we can color grade this. But anyways, we have, again, we inverted it, so that is everything but this white space is going to get color graded. Perfect. So again, we'll go down to our correction here. Highlights, we want that teal blue. And if you can even look at it, it doesn't even look that crazy to me, you know? Like you can't even really notice, you know, perfect skin tones, looks good to me. Want a little bit more green. And we'll do the same for midtones. So I'm trying to look at this in the best way possible. This looks like a pretty good teal, like a teal color. I'm trying to see. Yeah. So then again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my basic corrections, exposure down, shadows down, and that, yeah, as you can see, it looks a little bit too green, so we'll go back to our HSL secondary and move everything a little bit more to the right towards the blue. And no, we don't need to sharpen anything. No, that looks weird. All right, perfect. So this is our color graded regular footage. Now, sure, this looks a little weird, but it does have a reflection of the backpack, so it's not the worst. Um, if we wanted to do this a different way, which I will show you guys right now, where we sacrifice some of the skin tones, then yeah. So this one I'm sacrificing a little bit of the color on this video, like the overall color, the color grade, but we're trying to keep skin tones as best as possible. This one, I'll turn this off. This is where we'll just go to the color wheels and match, and we'll just do the same process, but as you see, skin tones out the question as soon as we do that. So that's the drawback when you're not using log. It's very hard to maintain those very nice skin tones. So I'm going to stick with this. This looks good to me. We have great contrast, dark up here, a little lighter on here. Skin tones are as best as we can get it. And then, yeah, if we compare these two, now even just looking at the lumetroscope, as you see the blue, green, and then red at the bottom, we have the same sort of thing, blue, green, red. So we know that these are going to match pretty well to each other. And nothing else, I think this just needs a slight more saturation. But these are the two clips that we have taken two different clips, log footage and standard footage, and made them look very similar to each other. And that's really the hardest part about color grading is every single clip is different, but you need to try to make every clip look fairly similar to one another. But yeah, that is my process for color grading. Again, I will go over the steps once more. So, log footage will go from the top. So, first thing you want to do, hold on. First thing that you want to do is you want to import your clips, obviously. Add an adjustment layer. I'm going to teach you my way. Add an adjustment layer turn on the adjustment layer. This is where you're going to import your conversion LUT. From there, you go to your actual footage, and first you're going to want to do some basic adjustments. That's going to be trying color the white balance. That's going to be the shadows, darkness, how light it is. From there, that's where you're going to want to do your color grade. So this is where you map out the skin tones, and then you invert it. Start to color everything. You want to touch the highlights and the midtones. Keep the shadows black. And then, yeah, from there, if you need to make any more basic adjustments, you would do it on the color grade, and you would just go to your basic corrections. And if you want to decrease the exposure, shadows, whatnot. So that is the process for log footage. For regular footage, it's a little simpler. So you have your regular footage. You want to have your first layer, your basic adjustments, white balance, your lighting, highlight shadows, exposure, and whatnot. Then your second layer is, you can do two ways, but this is the color grade, so you can map out your skin tones, and then you can, again, touch the highlights and midtones to the color that you want, or you can use the color wheels tab, and that's where you'll touch only the midtones and highlights to get that color grade. And then from there, you want to try, if you have different types of videos on one timeline, log and standard footage, you want to try to match the two. So that's kind of what I did here. You can try to match them by just looking at the Lumetri Scopes tab. So that is that. This is the waveform RGB. So just to let you guys know. Yeah, that is my color grading process. It has become a lot easier and simple for me because I'm able to create presets based off of this. I hope you guys learned a few things from this, because color grading, it's a skill, and you got to understand what looks good and what doesn't look good. You're not going to be the greatest at it, but it's going to take time. And there's certain things that, just over time that I've learned, oh, I need to make this a little bit darker or lighter. And you only get that by, doing it over and over and over again, be consistent with it. Like, I've done this for over 1,000 videos of color grading, and to be honest, I sucked like you guys at the beginning, so I know exactly how you feel. But color grading shouldn't be this very excruciating process. You should try to understand what looks good, what colors go well together, what colors are sort of sticking out and making the video look glaring. So understand that. Practice every single day. You have to practice. You have to play around with things that look good. And a good color grade sometimes is very simple. Sometimes you don't need too much color. Sometimes you don't really need to do much. Less is more. So the less you try to do and the less you try to complicate it, and the more you just try to keep it simple. Keep it simple, sweet. So, or keep it stupid simple. So have as least amount of steps as possible, streamline the process, and then just practice it over and over and over again. And these small little details that you'll notice, okay, you'll get to understand what to do in those situations. But yeah, I really hope this guys helps. The color grading is a complicated process. It's scary. It is scary at the beginning because you don't know what you're doing. But with practice, with consistency, and just understanding what it takes to do this, you guys can be successful, and you guys can color grade really nice footage like this. Like, this looks incredible. This is a beautiful clip. I can't even lie. And those small little details where I'm, taking the saturation out of certain colors makes this clip that much better. But yeah, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.